Deep in the hills of mist and moss, where the sun is but a fleeting guest, and rain dances with snow in a single afternoon, legend speaks of a lone warrior who kept the grass short and the chaos at bay. He asked for no glory, no audience. He simply did what needed doing. Through gales and frost, doing his duty loyally and without complaint. They say that if you listen carefully on a misty morning, you can still hear him calling across the glens.
There's a mowing light waiting in the sky.
If you are manually mowing your lawn, well, I hope you have a very good reason. I've had my little friend for several years now, and whereas before I wasted way too much time heaving a dirty great manual mower around the garden, since then I have saved masses of time and got way better results. For me, it's been a no-brainer. I bought my original Luba 1 years ago and have tested it for what must be hundreds of hours of mow time. He's been sitting outside in the Scottish rain and snow for years because I'm terrible at all that maintenance stuff. He's powered on through overgrown grass, massive divots, kids' toys, and enormous holes that I was digging for my workshop soakaway. This for me has become an essential part of my home, like a dishwasher or a washing machine. Whilst I'm covering the Luba 2 today, I'll also highlight some of the differences compared to the Luba 1 that I've noticed, and some of the neat enhancements as the growing season begins in Scotland. And of course, I will keep Mammotion's lovely design this time, and I definitely won't graffiti him with some mad concept. The Luba 2 has the same strengths as the Luba 1 with some enhancements. It's a pretty significant evolution in many ways, but it's still familiar. The fundamental engineering of the Luba is spot on. I compared this when I first bought the Luba 1. I looked at others, but I could see in both their designs and stats were fundamentally held back by their wheels, chassis height, centre of gravity and other features. The Luba has all the right core shapes that make this easier. The all-wheel drive system, the low-profile, hunkered-down design, and these chunky wheel treads let it really grip slopes to a silly level. The climbing capability of the original was excellent, but they've squeezed even more out of it now, sitting at 38.6% maximum slope. Now, obviously, this is in ideal conditions, so on wetter grass, it'll be less. I find showing how steep this is doesn't really come across on film, but in short, I slip before it does now. The suspension is great at smoothing out the effects of bumps and divots. These have improved a bit on the original in their depth. This means the clearance has improved to 80mm, which lets it get over just about any bumps or obstacles. The original blades worked great for me, but I noticed that they've added even more blades, so 6 per disc. This will naturally increase its cutting ability even more. It might also even slightly improve the noise level, which was always very quiet anyway. But now it just purrs around the garden, except there's one odd sound I keep hearing. It's almost orchestral. I'll come back to that. So, physical engineering, brilliant before, but even more tuned now. The other bit of hardware is the RTK system, which allows you to geolocate to hundreds of satellites orbiting the Earth. In terms of function, this means that you are completely free of those antiquated wires that you used to have to use with robot lawnmowers. All you do is you just drive your robot around like a remote control car to define the boundaries, and then you're done. And for those of you who want it even more simple, like my dad, there's a new service called iNavi. This uses a built-in 4G SIM card to remove the need for an RTK at all. All you need is Wi-Fi or a 4G signal. This service is free throughout 2025 and you could just activate it in the app. It's got rain sensors built in which allow it to pause when it detects rain and continue later. Whether it's in the middle of the night or during the day, he just doesn't mind. In terms of weatherproofing, well, I've actually been undertaking an aggressive test pattern of utter neglect for several years. It has just sat in the rain and elements for years without caring. I should probably have made a garage for it. Making one was on my list, and you can even buy them from Mammotion, but as you might have noticed, I have a bit of a project backlog. But on to where there have been more significant changes, the software. I've always liked the app. It's very simple and intuitive, but it's definitely matured with lots of features being added. There was a missing piece of Home Assistant integration for me, but that's recently been solved by the most excellent Mikey 0000, I love GitHub names, who's built an excellent integration and reached out to me last year to let me know. I'll add a link in the description to check it out. It could always handle multiple zones, so you could just tell it or schedule it to mow different parts of the lawn. But the zone management was always a little stingy in the lower models. This is partly me and the chaotic design of my garden, but they've gone to the other extreme now. The top model has up to 60 zones, which is more than you could conceivably ever need. Things like blade height is super simple to adjust. I often use this if I let the grass grow a little bit longer, as I could tell it to mow the lawn to 50 millimeters, then do it again at 45 and then again at 40. So what that means is that you gradually mulch the grass down rather than leaving big cuttings on the lawn. Manual mowing mode is also surprisingly handy for driving him into new spots or just to quickly mow an odd area that is temporary and not worth mapping. Object detection. This was good in the Luba 1, but it's a different level in the latest model with a blend of new hardware. So binocular vision, ultrasonic vision, and more to power software with AI recognition. These eyes mean that he can recognize objects and navigate even more accurately. This helps with little bugs that affected the original version, like if you were under trees, then he might struggle with satellite signals. As a side feature, this also allows a very cool first-person view, so you can just control him and see through his eyes, like a racing game. There's loads of other features that they've introduced. You can cut stripes in any direction as before, but you can also cut patterns using any image you fancy. So you can do gimmicks like logos, text, or whatever for your Google Maps entries. But I think there's a deeper use case here that hasn't been twigged by many yet. You could also cut in the shape of a football pitch or a tennis court or any other sport that you fancy. I'm going to try cutting a small tennis or badminton court shape on my own lawn this year to see how that works. The other thing is that you can cut patterns to create paths around your garden. So you can have a slightly shorter area to demarcate a past area. So for me, robot lawnmowers are now in the mainstream. But there was one area where Mammotion needed some help. It was that faint sound I kept hearing, and it really didn't like his default name of Luba VPP3X65H6. That's just not going to float in this household. Fortunately, with the brilliant suggestions of my Patreons and all the YouTube comments, I went with the suggestions of... Congratulations. Time for a montage. Introducing Mozart. Now that looks far less professional. I think Mozart will fit right in, and if he's anything like David Mowie, he'll be more than a tool, but a summertime friend. And all that's left for me is to occasionally tap a button to get him working and wait for the Scottish summer. I know many of you reached out already on the David Mowie patterns for the Luba 1, so likewise I'm always happy to share these designs or templates so that you can make a little army of custom Lubas. I've got 3D printed Gridfinity designs as well for all of the Luba parts, and I'll upload those if anyone's already a Luba owner. And if you want to know about the mysterious device I used for this design, well, you'll just have to find out next time. So exciting. Hwyl fawr.